can hear me pretty good. This is the new setup. Move your butt, dog. I don't want to hit you with the chair. Yeah, we're working on some new software today too. You did see that, right? Been working on using Bitwig to mess around and try new things. It's a lot like Ableton Live. And what you're hearing right now is a drum beat from the Digitac, some chords from the Digitone, and we're using an OPXY that is MIDI synced. But today the difference is we're actually sending control voltage out of the OPXY. So right now I'm controlling what I call my Roland row. It's basically a clone from Roland stuff. It's like an SH101. So it should sound a lot like acid techno. It should sound a lot like that. I got a tuner loaded too. And you can hear, yeah, we're just... It's a square wave that we're using too, right? So there's a square. And it's really cool because with the music right now, this is the drum beat, and this is the intro track that we were listening to. And really, I like to have a lot of fun when I'm making music. This is my workflow. I go MIDI right now out of Bitwig. We're setting that MIDI into the Digitac and Digitone, and then we're going into the OPXY, right? So the idea that if and the whole setup on the XY is basically going to your comm section, making sure that the output is switched to control voltage or CV. And once you switch that, the idea that you got a stereo cable right here, right? Let's see. So the stereo cable gives us voltage out, right? I did it in one like nice cable because I want it to be clean. And then I'm controlling a gate and the pitch. So I'm going to go to a brand new track inside of the Digitac, right? A brand new pattern, right? And I switched on both of them, so they've nothing recorded. And then on this guy, I'm just going to clear that bass line, which I really liked, but I'm sure I could play it again. Okay. And right now we're going to build a track with voltage. I'm going to use the modular, and I'm going to build all the drums. I'm going to build everything from scratch, and hopefully I can do it correctly because this is the first time me doing this on stream with Bitwig. So we're going to try some new stuff that I haven't really tried before, and this is me just explaining like the way that I use voltage to make sounds. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use those voltages to control the Roland voice now, or the Roland voice I call it. Now, not a joke, but I'm going to make a kick drum first. So the first thing I'm going to do is just 4 on the floor. I'm going to do, I'm going to find a low note. Let's do F. And that way I just play in the key of F. Okay, so if, literally the most simple thing I can do, right? Now, how do we make a kick drum out of a voice, right? The envelope generator basically goes to 2 places. It would go to the pitch of the oscillator or the pitch of the filter, and it would also go to the VCA. So that's how we would control this pitch, this patch. Now I'm going to do all 3, and then I'm going to shape the kick drum by moving a filter and by slightly moving the pitch of the oscillator, and that's where you get that thump. Okay, so we're going to practice making that. You're going to hear the sound evolve as I make this kick drum. So this is some sound design education as I do it, right? And I need a cable. I filter down, and the more I add a little bit of that envelope to the pitch of the oscillator, that's where you get that nice bump. That's a triangle, which still is really, really nice, right? So the idea that it sounds like just like any kind of techno kick we've ever heard, right? And that's what I'm going for. I'm making this really simple. This is about quick sound design. And again, I'm just sending voltage out of the OPXY, as you can see, right into this clone row, right? So I'm going to take a sample of the kick. Okay, so kick drum has been recorded. And I stopped that loop because now we're going to talk about sound designing a snare drum. So the snare drum design, at least how I like to do it, is I actually use noise, a noise generator, so slight bit of white noise. And what I'll do with that noise is I'll filter it and I'll use a little bit of the resonance, the Q, to sharpen the sound of the snare drum. So that's what we're going to work on next. Just, yeah. Okay. Yeah, and I was just making sure like the stream's running and I didn't mess with the camera. So now if I just do alternating snare drums, I'm going to go an octave up. Not that I mean, it might matter that it's a higher pitch, but I'm still doing F, so the drums seem to be in tune. And now I'm going to take a white noise generator. That's kind of like the trick in this whole thing, which isn't even that big of a trick. I should have grabbed more cables, but basically I just take white noise. Okay, and you can hear it now, right? The nice bit of noise. We can use this for hi-hats, and that's what I'm going to do too. So if it was a hi-hat pattern, and then I would just shorten the decay. So if I was making a hi-hat right now, right? Now I'm going to sample this, right? And I can shorten it. So again, this is just white noise. I could take it as a tick. The nice thing about this envelope is the sustain. That little bit, I'm just looking for a little bit of dust, I call it. Okay, so, and I'm going to see if I can crank it in the input section of what I'm building here. Let's see. Yep. So there's my fake hi-hat. Yeah, and it's sampled. It was that fast. Okay, so now I'm going to build the snare drum. Now I did the hi-hat first because the snare needs to have more bite, like a instead of like just soft. So we're going to see if we can make it bite a little bit harder. And I'm going to just honestly build that snare again. So we're building a track. And okay, and so here's my snare. I add a little bit of body, that's from the oscillator. So you're going to bring in a little bit of the pitch from the oscillator. This is what differentiates the snare from the hi-hat. When I did the hi-hat, it was just white noise, right? I did not add another oscillator. Where when I do the snare drum, there's secretly a drum under it. Hear it? And it doesn't have to be aggressive. But this is what gives it like a snare. You know, there's actually like a tom and the white snare, that, you know, the snare is underneath it. So this is going to be pretty, a little too high. Okay, so right now I'm going to sample. So this is my created beat, okay? We made this all from Voltage, okay? It's gonna sound a lot like Kraftwerk, or early Kraftwerk, right? Okay, I just try to make it as simple as I could. But I wanted to explain the process. If anybody wanted to make sounds at home and practice sound design, we did a kick drum together, which was an oscillator to a filter to a VCA, and we used the envelope to control the pitch of the oscillator, and we used the envelope to control the volume of the VCA. When I made the hi-hats, I took white noise, I put it through a filter, into a VCA, I used an envelope, and all I did was shape the volume and the length of how long that noise was, real short. And then when we did the snare, the difference was it was white noise mixed with an oscillator to give it the body of the drum. It's about an octave or two above the kick drum, you know, not too high tom-ish, but you want it kind of in the middle, mid-tom, right? And now we have everything looping in Bitwig, just like Ableton, very simple software. I'm using Bitwig now because it has a lot more modular under the hood. And personally, I love having modular, as you can see. So if anybody's wondering, I've just done some studying now for the last the week in Bitwig, and I'm just spending some time to try to get some more creative workflow going. Ableton still is my home, and I love it to death, but yes, just trying to expand on some of the software. So here we go now, because I'm going to talk about my baseline theory, okay? And so undoing the patch. All right, and I leave the voltage from the OPXY, which is just gate and pitch. And now I'm going to explain, I just do an oscillator, and that oscillator is going to be a saw wave this time. And we're going to go saw wave into a filter. Right, and just like I said, we're sending voltage from here, CV, out of this cable. And that control voltage is going to the oscillator and the envelope. And now I'm going to wire my envelope generator. So the envelope generator, and this one's cool because things are normalized. I plug in one cable and it goes both to the filter and to the VCA. So when you patch, you want the trick to this, or my secret, is I always do the envelope generator to both the filter and to the VCA. VCA is amplitude control, how big the volume is, and filter is a bit of an EQ, like a one-band EQ. Kind of gives it that round, bassy kind of sound I always jokingly say. And now I'm going to program in F, because that was the key we were playing in, right? And I'm just like literally going to program some random notes. This is literally just going to be for fun. So let's... And there's no effects. I'm doing this dry on purpose, just so it's real simple techno, right? Command-Shift-T are new audio tracks in Bitwig. So I just did Control-Shift-T, and now I'm going to do a recording of the bass that I just made from F. This is a very simple, minimal house track kind of. That's all I'm working on. And I wanted you guys to see that just sending voltage out of the OPXY is completely easy to do. I've been in contact with Teenage Engineering on the whole sending DIN sync, and basically I have to make a custom cable, which I'm working on right now, a custom MIDI cable. I'm going to work on that this weekend and try to finish it so that I can report back to them and tell everybody how it works. So I'm trying to control TR-808 from here, and I need to build a custom cable to do it. So I'm working on that this weekend, and I should have the wiring diagram for that up when I do the next stream. So that's just kind of in the works. Okay, so we're going to hit record on the bass line. Thanks everybody for tuning in too. If you're watching at home, thanks for subscribing to the channel and liking any of the videos. If you have comments or questions, or you need to know more things in depth, you can always email me. The Out of the Bag website has been updated, so if you go to outofthebag.org, everything's been updated. My latest 2 records are a little bit more expensive because I've put a lot of time and effort into them, but I reduced the price of every other record I sell for $3. So if anybody wants to support or listen to some of my music, all of the old records on Bandcamp are $3 for an album. All of the newer records are a little bit more. The sample packs I think are like $5 if you want some of my drums. Thank you everyone who has supported or bought a record or bought sample packs. I really appreciate everybody for doing that. Anyone who's reached out and contacted me or commented on any of the videos, I just wanted to say thanks for that too. And okay, here we go. We did our drum beat together, and now what we're working on is basically the most simple bass line in the world. Now, what if we made that a square wave and we modulated the pulse width? I like that because secretly underneath the track, there's going to be a little bit of movement that we weren't expecting, right? Okay, recorded that a couple times, and now let's listen to what that sounds like. Okay, now inside of Bitwig, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to add a little bit of delay. I'm going to add a little bit of like, I guess like wave shaping is what I call this now. And I do that post to just show everybody that you can do this a couple different ways. I really like making my sounds, like sound design, how I'm kind of like building the patch right now on the go. So you are kind of getting a back seat to watch how I actually produce a lot of my tracks. Not that I use the same row every single time. That's actually why I have a bunch of different modulars. If somebody's confused, is like, well, why do you have all that crap in the studio? Because I've helped a lot of companies build them in the past, and because I've liked to build them. They all have different timbres, different sounds, but right now I'm just focusing on showing you the voltage on this works as the output, and I'm more trying to show kind of my workflow in the studio, track in, track in, track, you know, I just keep recording tracks. I do this live. It's kind of like a cathartic process where I just kind of write, and then later I definitely edit down and make everything sound a lot better. But what I try to teach students, because a lot of people say, well, I just write the same loop all the time. I'm like, well, you got to throw as much at the project as you possibly can. So that's not the minimalist approach, and that is not my ambient technique. So this is very different. When I write techno, I record multiple bass lines, I record multiple takes, and that's what you're going to see next. In this lead line that we make, the idea that we record now, and that instead of it being such a short bar, you know, that I'm going to record, the next thing I'm going to do is going to be over 8, 16, 32, 64 bars. This is going to be like an elongated pattern search, and it's me kind of messing with the filter, having a good time, enjoying the sound that I've designed, and kind of making that sound have some animation. The number one reason I use modular is because I can animate my sounds pretty much any way that I want. And right now we're going to work on the key of F. I'm going to try to make something very simple, and we're going to work on like delay lines and things like that. So let's see what kind of happens here. Just just a little bit of chorus to make that square wave sound a little bit cooler for my bass, right? That was a total accident, and I'm going with it. Okay, so watch what happens now. A little bit higher of an octave. And I'm going to do this as a saw wave. So if anybody's wondering, saw waves have the most harmonics. Square waves are, I think, even or odd depending on where you have the pulse. And sine and triangle have the least amount of harmonics. So when you're trying to make something stand out, like the lead line or the melody line, sometimes having the bass as one shape and the lead as another shape really help the two lines stand apart, even though they're working together. So if you're wondering in the synth world, well, why are these waveforms and blah, 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 it is for harmonic content, and that's what I'm doing right now. I switched it to a different wave. This is going to make the filter sound a little bit more squeaky or resonant-y, which way you like to call that. That is up to you, or whatever your ear tells you that sound is. But resonance, you want to be careful, because too much is sometimes rough, or if you're making acid tech, you go the direction that your ear tells you. So you're going to watch me kind of play around, and like I said, I'm going to do a take over the course of a little bit more time than just like a bar. 2, 3, and. And then towards the end of the bar, I just open the filter a little more. Do it a couple more times. And again, that's just simple, right? Being creative you gotta have fun with it, right? Get in that groove. Okay, I'm gonna stop it. I know I'm out of time there, but guess what? You can go back and fix it. And now we're going to add a little bit of, like I said, that special delay and phase. You always want to add something that changes the character of the sound. And I'm going to kind of explain that next as I do this. Okay. The other trick that I do that I think you're noticing is I leave the same track armed to record all the time. And basically when I record a track, the track gets recorded on the input, which is the synthesizer track. And then from there, I take that clip and I drag it to a brand new place so that the track that I'm recording live audio is never changed. I never put an effect on that track. And it's always like my dry track that I'm just recording my sound into. When I land into the next track location, I dress the sound, meaning compressor, EQ, expander, noise gate, depending on what needs treated. Acoustic instruments usually need a gate to keep like noise away, where electronic instruments are a little more persistent and just getting the right noise ratio, signal to noise ratio. Someone at work told me yesterday they had someone talking about a buzz in the signal, and he said he thinks their gain inputs are incorrect. That is the first place you check if you notice your recording system sounds like there's buzz. Also, when you go to record, you shouldn't have any yellow bubbling in the track. The bottom of the track should be like flat, meaning there isn't any noise. If there's bubbling in that track, you have something in the input chain turned up too loud, and you might want to turn that down, okay? So here we go. We're going to work on a little bit of noise dressing on the new sound, and let's see what happens. Okay, now I'm going to explain something because I just put a little bit of phaser on that sound. I made it a 4-pole phaser because I like less poles, less perfect, kind of more old school, right? And then I like to also, and this is kind of new to Bitwig, so when I put a delay in Bitwig, I can put a filter in the send return path of that delay. Now this is something that's very, very interesting sounding. It allows your delay trails to have filter bits inside of them. And the send return paths inside of each effect in Bitwig is kind of the reason that I like using it for sound design, because there's more happy accidents within that realm. The other thing that happens is I have envelope followers, and an envelope follower can detect the incoming audio of that channel and create an envelope generator based on incoming audio that can affect a step sequencer that steps a different effect in every stage. So there are very complex things that I can do here. What I'm going to do though is I'm just going to put a filter in that signal path, and you're going to hear this as I opened up that sound on the 4th part of the beat. You may hear some really interesting things starts happening because I'm going to add a little bit of resonance, and I'm going to add a little bit of animation to the filter that's into that send return bus, which means I'm going to put a step sequencer on it, and you're going to hear the filter kind of step around as if someone's turning that knob to 16 precise positions that are in time with the clock. So let's see what that does next. You ready? Here, kind of getting creepy in there, right? Now, this leaves me a lot of good room for development, like playing a lead sound, right? So if I wanted to really open this thing up, okay, so that's the track making process. This is me showing you control voltage out of your OPXY. If anybody was wondering how that worked, well, you just saw me do it for the last, was it 30 minutes? Hopefully it was. Hopefully you had some education there on a backseat and driving in the studio with me. You got to see what I actually do in workflow, how I bring in audio. You got to see me send voltage to a modular. You got to see me do sound design too, which was really, really fun. I got to explain how I make just a really simple drum set. The other thing I would encourage, silverware, pots and pans, the kitchen, the bathroom, anywhere you can bang on metallic things to take samples, Tupperware, make your own drum kits. The more you reach into the pocket of creativity in your own place and what's around you, the more you're going to find really awesome details that you were not ready for. All right, so I'm going to leave everybody with this sound, a song for play out. Hopefully you've enjoyed some of this. You got to hear me use some of Bitwig and some of the sound quality. You got to see me record some Eurorack, and you got to see some of my workflow sending voltage and using MIDI from the DAW. So I hope everybody has a great weekend. Thanks for tuning into the channel, and thanks for all the support. We just hit 600 subscribers. I mean, I'm blown away, and I really can't say thank you enough for everybody who's kind of tuned in and left me really nice comments, and even people who've left me nasty comments. I mean, at least you're paying attention. So again, thank you everybody for the support and for tuning in. Remember, all of the albums went on sale on Bandcamp for $3. So if you want to support the channel for $3, you know what I mean? I appreciate it. It's not like a streaming service. It's actually, you are giving the artist, me, the money. And that's just more than I can even say that I appreciate all the people who have supported me. And I appreciate everybody who watches the channel. So enjoy the Sunday and have a great day.